Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Good Girls Get Rich podcast. I'm your host, Karen Yankovich, and I love when I get to bring beautiful, smart women to this show to introduce you to just some of the really inspiring and powerful things that are happening in the world that other women are doing with their businesses. So I've got Caterina Rando with us today. I'm going to bring Caterina on right now. Hello, lady. How are you?
Fabulous. Happy to be with you.
Yeah, me too. So Caterina is a woman on a mission to uplift the lives of women everywhere through thriving entrepreneurship. She's an author, a sought-after speaker, podcaster, and business transformation coach who passionately serves women leaders and entrepreneurs on a mission. Sound familiar, you guys? Her over 25 years of educating and empowering makes her truly masterful at providing a ton of value. She specializes in authentic selling, embracing speaking to build influence, and how to bliss in your business. Her books include Learn to Think Differently from Watkins Publishing, released in over 13 countries in several languages, A Woman's Guide to Starting a Giving Circle, and her latest book, The ABCs of Public Speaking, which quickly hit number 1 in 4 Amazon bestseller categories. Caterina is also the founder of the Thriving Women in Business Center in San Francisco, a place for women to gather and host workshops. Plus, she started Thriving Women in Business Giving, which raises money for women and girls' education and entrepreneurship training. I am so excited to be here. I mean, it's almost like I can reword this and make it my bio, which is not always what I'm looking for, right? But here's the thing: I know that you're going to bring a different perspective to this, and people that are listening, maybe people that have listened to many of our shows. I think this episode is going to be somewhere in like the high. Like almost 300, like 290, baby. So in the high 200s, like so the people that have listened to many things, I know they're going to hear something today that they didn't hear before. And that's why I love having these conversations. So thanks so much for being here with us today.
I am so happy to be with you. I love talking about women getting wealthy.
Oh, you and me both. I mean, I feel like there's, it's one of the most important things in my life, right, is to help more women have more money, because I think that it's something that I'm uniquely qualified to help people with. And more women with more money gives them more choices and more freedom. Here's my little, if you're watching this on the replay, I'm like, freedom is a big tenet for me. And I think more money gives us the opportunity to make more choices, right? And have more choices in our lives. And I want more women to have more choices. So I know that you are of the same mindset.
Yes. Well, what we also know is that women invest in their communities. They invest in their children. They use their money for good. So many women are on a mission, Karen. Their missions need to be funded. They need revenue to fund their missions. And that's why I say I serve women on a mission. I want to support them to massively monetize so they can fulfill their missions more.
Yes. And when I talk to the people that I work with, right? Like I remember like maybe last year, we kind of went around like the Zoom room in one of our group calls and just like, what's everybody looking forward to in the upcoming year? And every single woman that it was in the room, and I didn't call it out till we were done, had a mission driven goal, not a monetary driven goal.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But the reality is if we don't have both, then we're not going to be able to achieve our mission. So I feel like women need to hear more about the ways to monetize this stuff, yes, so that they can serve more people with their missions.
Yes. And also women need to learn we want to support women to learn the money management. And I don't mean managing your stocks and your investments. I mean managing the money in our business, because when women don't have financial surplus in their business, it creates a lot of stress. And it's really the biggest stressor. And we want them to be monetizing well and know their cash flow and know their revenue in the door so that they have surplus to make those choices.
So talk to me a little bit more about that. So in the work that you do, I love this conversation, by the way, because it is so true. So many women kind of almost think dollars for hours. I have this 6-figure business and I'm like, whoa, like that's just not enough money, and not that I think every woman needs to be a millionaire, though, although you could be. I think that and it isn't even about overcharging. It's about creating a system in your business and creating a business plan that allows for your cup to be overflowing so that you can serve from that overflow. And if
Right.
we're thinking about, well, I mean, I'm thinking about a conversation I had with a woman just today who was talking about, um, I don't know how much her program is, but let's say her program's $2,000, right? And she was saying, well, if I do a payment plan, I add 5% to that. And I was like, that's not enough money. Like you're losing money then for people that are, because, when you invariably somebody's credit card is going to need to get changed and you need to do that work, or maybe the payment won't go through and they have to, make some updates. There's literally physical, like time consuming things that happen when you have people on a payment plan. Sometimes you don't have that, but often you do. Right. But she was just trying to get like not overcharge, and I was like, I'm actually thinking about the women that paid in full, thinking, well, I would never pay in full if the difference was only 5%, because I can get 10% at the bank. Right. So I'm going to keep my money in the bank and give it to you in drips. So I think about the women that pay in full that are actually disadvantaged over the women that are on payment plans. Right. And it was all done from a heartfelt place, but it was not considering the big picture of her business. Right. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
Well, that's part of it. And I will say, I love payment plans because it gets me to yes faster. So I'm always looking for, I'm happy to give a payment plan. And here's what I want to say too, related to this. A couple days ago, I decided to go to Thailand on a retreat that one of my clients is hosting next year. And the reason I could be an insta yes for her, Karen, is because I look at the projections of my business over the next 6 months, and we have lots of good revenue coming in the door. We're covering our expenses. Everybody's getting paid. And that allowed me to make that choice. A lot of women don't know what's happening in 3 months and 6 months. Yes, they might have money in the bank today, but they're not paying attention to cash flow projections. They're not having, I talked to a wonderful gal earlier today. She wants to make $80,000 for the rest of the year, but she doesn't have a plan to do it. So when we think of money, we think often of sales, but sales is not just the conversation. It's when are you going to do what? What are you going to do to get there? It's the strategy behind it. And I've really found over the years that so many women are so interested in serving, which is great.
Right.
They're not looking at what's the strategy that's going to allow them to serve with ease.
Well, and I love, you mentioned this earlier about the stress that this brings. And I know that you highlight the importance of bliss in your business, right?
Yeah.
So if we're a service-based business owner, we want to build more, we want to be able to say yes to Thailand, right? So what are some strategies that you recommend to help us kind of take those first couple steps to being able to look out 6 months and 12 months and see what kind of projections we have?
Well, the first strategy, which is on my brain because I just talked to a different gal about it before, is that, marketing and sales are not the same thing.
Oh, amen.
That marketing is letting the world know you exist. Sales is inviting people to be your client or companies and having a conversation with them. And the best strategy I like to use and have taught for years, works for me, works for all my clients, is every month host a workshop. So you always have something to invite people to where you can build influence. But the guiding principle, and I run my business on guiding principles, is at the thing, which is your workshop, you always offer the next thing. And the next thing is more of an investment of both time and money. And when you do that and you keep giving people massive value, they will keep coming back. This relates to strategy because I like to say the second sale is the most important sale. When you do a great job with the first sale, however long it takes you to get that sale, the second sale will happen like insta. because they got value the first time.
So let me take a step back on this, because this is a really great strategy. So I love the always have something to invite people to strategy. And I know it could be different for many people, but in your case, is the always have something to invite people to a paid workshop or a free workshop?
Now, Karen, you and I were around pre-pandemic.
Yes.
And pre-pandemic, if it was a live and in person on the ground workshop, yes, there would be a fee.
Mm-hmm.
Today, though, nobody has to leave their living room to come to your workshop.
Right.
If I'm going to offer a 1-hour free workshop, I'm not going to charge people to come to my 1-hour free workshop. And the reason why I also love this is they don't have to make a buying decision to come.
Right.
Because they don't have to evaluate, is it going to be worth it? Well, the truth is they're going to get massive value, but they don't know that yet because they haven't spent any time with me.
Right.
Then after they come, now I have some influence.
Right.
And now I can invite them to a conversation. I can invite them to the next thing. Now, if I'm doing on the ground, live and in person, also, because I do have a center, but we haven't started those up again. Yes, it is going to be a fee for live and in person. Virtual allows us to not even have to charge.
Got it. Okay. So that's really interesting. And I think it's because there's so many people that I talk to that have they think they have plans, right? They have these social media, their social media's out there. They're being interviewed on podcasts and things like that. And I'm like, well, how are you turning this into, how are you monetizing this? Right. And I love that strategy, but you have to have that, always have something to invite people to, right? Even if it's, a lead magnet, right? But sometimes people don't even really have that. And also, I'm going to kind of tag on this a little bit to say, I actually feel like the world, so it's middle of 2024 here that we're recording this. I feel like people are more interested in deeper connection.
Yes.
And I am actually doing things like, and I'm just going to pull an industry out of the hat, but if I'm going to be doing like a workshop for accountants, I'm going to create something specific for accountants to say, come to this, right? Because, even if it's networking events, right? Like I think, and because we can do this, right? Many of our businesses allow for this, but diving deeper into what's really going to serve the audience that you're going to be in front of or with in that event, I think it brings you even more credibility as you start to build out this path, this monetization path.
Well, what we want people to say is we want them to say, that's for me. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
So the more we can speak only to our ideal clients, yes, the more they're going to show up and they're going to be the right people to work with us. I want to also point something out.
Yes, please.
Lead magnets. Here's my video series. Here's my ebook. Here's my blah, blah, blah. None of that is interactive.
Right.
We want to see people's smiles on the screen because we want to have them feel seen and heard and valued and gotten by us. Now, this is for those of us, Karen, that are in the personal service business.
Mm-hmm.
If we're selling purses, yes, we can showcase our purses. Nobody has to talk to us. But if we want people to choose us to serve them, especially if we're working with women. That's my specialty.
Yep, me too.
They have to get that we genuinely care.
Mm-hmm.
They have to get that we have rapport with them. And they have to know that we are the solution, and we have to communicate that. All of that is interactive. And that's why workshops and speaking works so well. And often all of this marketing excess doesn't work because it doesn't communicate that we genuinely care.
So cool. So interesting. That's so interesting. And when one of the, it kind of leads me to, made me think of this. So I'll just kind of share it. One of the strategies that I talk about sometimes if I'm talking at events for, and certainly that I teach with my clients is, people say to me all the time, well, I don't really know. How do I get leads on LinkedIn, or how do I find these people? And I say to them, well, when was the last time you looked at your email list and said, I wonder if I can find this person on LinkedIn?
Mhm.
and reached out to them that way and said, "Hey, Mary, I'm so thank you so much for allowing me into your inbox.
Mhm.
Um, you know more about me than I know about you, and I want to change that. Tell me a little bit more about you and what you're doing and what intrigues you about the work that I do, and like something to start a conversation. These people have already expressed interest in working with you, right? Why should they be faceless people on your email list while you're emailing them a million times and complaining that nobody's opening your emails or clicking or whatever? Let's take these people that have expressed interest by getting our whatever it is that brought us them to their email list at whatever level of connection that is, and add that interactivity to it, right? So you don't it doesn't always have to be that it's great when you can start with interactivity, because I love what you're doing, but I think we can also layer that on
Yeah.
when there is no opportunity for that. And it's just a matter of thinking, again, deeper connection versus
Right.
wider connecting.
Right. And you can do that with your email list. You can, and if you have a good CRM, you can see how many emails they've opened. So
Exactly.
that they're
Exactly. Yep.
right. And see, what I would do, Karen, is I would invite those people to have a conversation with me,
Yep.
or invite them. I would say, do you want to have a conversation, or would you like to come to my next workshop if I see that they haven't come in a while? Because it is nice to build influence with 30 people at once and not have to, or 20 people or 10 people, and not have to do the calls until after we've built influence. But as you say, if they're on your email list, you already have influence with them,
Right.
but they're not engaging. And often with that personal request that you're suggesting, that personal reach out, they will now engage with us.
Exactly.
And you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, I've been thinking about you. I've been following you. I've been watching you. But it's only when we make the personal
Right.
request that then a decision is forced
Right.
for them
Right.
to choose to connect with us.
So I know that I want to get to events with you, because I know that I really want to hear what you have to say about that. But before we get to actual events, kind of like that we're talking about here, talk to me a little bit about masterminding.
Okay.
Because I think masterminding is such a powerful tool, especially for women who may have a little I don't know, imposter syndrome, or just less confidence in delivering something, and having like being able to bat the topic around with a
Yeah.
trusted group. So powerful.
I learned the value of masterminding big time. Last year, I took some gals on a cruise. It was a retreat cruise, and it was a retreat cruise on how to do women's retreats. And we had activities, we had programming and teaching sessions, we did excursions. And one afternoon, I said to them, okay, my friends, come to my cabin this afternoon. I always get a mini suite, has a sitting area so everyone
Mhm.
can fit. And I said, come to my cabin this afternoon. We're going to mastermind for 90 minutes before we go to dinner. We were there for 7.5 hours.
Oh my gosh, I get that. I love that. I kind of wish I was there.
Yeah. Well, you can come next time, my friend.
Yeah, maybe.
That really showed me, you know what they wanted to do? They wanted to ask each other's opinions. They wanted
Yes.
to share ideas. They wanted, and you know what else happened? They encouraged each other.
Yep.
They said, well, what about this? And what about this? And as a result, oh, and by the way, at the end, when I said to them, what part did you like the most? Not any of those things I had painstakingly tried to make awesome. It was the
Yep.
masterminding that they liked.
I
And so,
had the exact same experience with an event that I did. The exact same experience. The last day I said, all right, we're going to mastermind today. And everybody was like, this is what I came here for.
yeah,
This is what I was waiting for. I'm like,
right.
really? All those other things?
Yeah, right.
Right.
So, and so, the market tells you what they want.
Right.
And that's why we always include masterminding in all of our programs these days, because that's really what women want.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. I think it definitely, it allows us to kind of just get out of our brain and take in what works for us that other people like, and even for me, like, I think I have a pretty good brain for strategy. I love strategy, and it's one of my favorite things to do,
Mhm.
but I'm not the know all end all of strategy
Right.
to the people that I work with. I love when there's some lateral learning and everybody else is chiming in and thinking of this and offering that, and I think that's just it's so powerful, and it really is what leads to fast growth.
Mhm.
Awesome. All right. So tell us a little bit about your journey to creating this cruise event and other types
Oh,
of
yeah.
in-person events that you're doing.
Well, here's the thing. I love doing retreats on cruise ships because nobody can come late, nobody can leave early. And that helps them stick together and build community on the retreat. We're doing an event called Amp Up, a mastermind cruise for women podcasters, speakers, and business leaders. And what we're going to do is have 60 gals on the ship. We're going to be masterminding. We'll have some workshops and we'll have some women fun. We will have
Mhm.
afternoon tea with fascinators and we'll have an accelerated jewelry exchange, which is all about making decisions quickly, and we'll connect. And it will be a transformational and uplifting and a business reigniting opportunity for whoever chooses to join us. And the women will be the experts because, as you know, Karen, women are super smart.
Yeah.
And we all have our special areas, our superpowers that we can share and teach the other women about.
That's so brilliant. That's so brilliant. So what brought you to creating these in-person events versus, I mean, and I know, let's just take COVID out of the picture, right? Because you've been doing these for longer than a
Yeah,
few
many years.
years, right? Yeah. So what brought you to actually bringing women together? Because it's not, I know there's women listening because I get this question a lot, evergreen versus launches. If you create an event, you need a certain number of people, so that adds a little bit level of stress to your marketing.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about that process for you.
Well, we have different things. Like Amp Up is 1 week and it's an event, and we'll have 3 connection calls ahead of time, and there's some bonuses. That's the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have other programs. I do my year-long mentorship program, which includes a cruise retreat, but it's part of the program. So it's not a standalone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do speaker retreats at my center, which are also part of the year-long program. And then they come for a week for the speaker intensive part, the speaking intensive. And so really there's a variety of models that women can use. The biggest mistake I find women make is that they want people to come away to a location and they're not giving them enough time to get their life together. So next month or the month after is a little too soon.
Right.
I like to say for every day of the retreat, you need a month. If it's a 1 day, maybe you could do it next month. But if it's a 2 day or a 3 day or a 7 day, you better start very early to have people be able to clear their calendars and make the investment. But
That's such good advice.
another
And then
thing,
you offer payment plans because you talked about how much you love
I
payment
love the
plans,
payment
right?
plan. I
Right.
love Super Extendo. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I want to make it easy for women to say yes. And if it's not in their budget, sometimes they can't just write a check. And as you know, whatever program they're in, we're going to work on their massive monetization because not everybody's brain works that way. Karen, sometimes like I've got this lovely lady, she's a stylist and it's her, after she retired, this is her new career. She likes to help the ladies look good, but she was never in sales. And so here she is
Right.
late in life and she's trying to start a business and she's great at the styling, but doesn't know about the sales. And I've got another client
And
who's,
you can times, I would say 90% of the women entrepreneurs out there, they're
yeah,
great at their craft,
yes,
right? But if you don't at least understand that you need to master the sales piece of it, you're
right.
going to be working at Macy's, to cover the
Right,
bills.
my friend. And we definitely don't want anybody doing that.
Right.
I like to say to them, don't go back to the darkness, stay in the light, stay in your own business, stay in the light.
Oh my goodness. So, okay. So beyond the events itself, what resources or advice do you offer to anybody listening here today that are women running service-based businesses and are looking to take their ventures up to the next level? Because that
Well,
is the
okay.
prime audience that we reach here.
Yeah. So one of the things to recognize is that women do want to be with other women. And what you can do to facilitate that, I used to feel like all I had to do was open the door and say hello and say thank you when they left, and they would tell me what a great event it was. I mean, that's really, they want to be together. And you also want to look for other events that you can facilitate that allow them to mastermind together or allow them to network or simply get away. That's why I'm a big proponent of retreats, and retreats as a rinse and repeat strategy every year that your clients can keep coming back to is definitely a good business strategy for whatever business you're in. They want to come, they want to get together, and they want to go off, and then they want to come back. So that's, and the thing is, I remember we said at the thing, you want to offer the next thing. At the next thing, you want to offer the next thing. And if it's an annual something or even twice a year, that's going to keep your clients coming back. And we want to look at our business as not just getting clients, but getting long-term and lifelong clients. So in addition to outstanding service, we want to provide outstanding client care, and we want to also have some client appreciation. Women love the appreciation, and we want to speak all 5 of the love languages to our clients. Words of affirmation, gifts, quality time. That's an extra special something that you do for them. Physical touch, blow them a kiss, give them a hug. And also, the last thing is acts of service, right? So all of those things women appreciate and we want to do for them in our business. And that will help them keep coming back also.
Oh my gosh, so powerful. Well, we'll definitely share links to your Amp Up event and to your workshops and to your podcast. So it'll all be in the show notes. You guys don't have to take notes or worry about that. We'll make it really easy for you to find all of that. But in the meantime, as a successful entrepreneur yourself, what's one piece of advice you would go back and tell your younger self when you were first starting out in your business?
Well, my younger self, I would tell, start getting mentorship a lot earlier. I would go to a lot of seminars, Karen, and I would go to association conferences, but it wasn't until I was about 10 years in my business that I started signing up for mentorship programs. That really made a huge difference. This idea that we're supposed to do it on our own is ridiculous. We thrive more together. That's the first thing.
I think that's a corporate tenant. Like, I think when I was in corporate, I thought you buy the book, you take the course, you know what you're doing. I didn't realize how valuable coaching or mentoring was going to be for my business.
Right. And I had a business coach in my first business, which is I had a cafe, but programs where you're with other people, where you have support, where you make friends, connections, you get clients, collaborations, that is significantly powerful, more than just a one-on-one. I always encourage people to sign up for the group rather than a one-on-one because I think they get so much more. So that's what I would have started 10 years earlier. And the other thing is I would have recognized earlier that it's all about determination, that you have to take your disappointment because there's going to be disappointment du jour, and you've got to turn it into determination, and determination wins every time.
Oh my gosh, so true. And I love that. And determination, I would like to say, doesn't necessarily mean you have to work 20 hours a day. It just means you just have to not give up. You have to embrace okay, that didn't work. It doesn't mean it's not going to work. It means I have to change something. Like, what do I have to change? Because this works. I just haven't figured out how yet. Right. And that to me is how I would describe that. I love that. I love that.
Always be upgrading. I would say always be upgrading.
Mm-hmm.
And Karen, you like strategy, and determination is a lot about what's the strategy that will get me there.
Awesome. Awesome. So how can people kind of dip their toe into the world of Caterina Rando?
Well, thank you so much for asking. The easiest way to dip your toe is to come and hang out with me for one of my upcoming free virtual workshops. We have them on sales, on speaking, on doing retreats, other hot topics. Go to my website, CaterinaRando.com, and that's CaterinaRando.com. And all of our free events are there. Also, I got a ton of free resources for you on getting booked, on checklists for your business. And feel free to reach out to me because I'm always happy to talk to any amazing gals who want to get richer on their mission.
Everybody needs to do that. Everybody needs to do that. Caterina, this has been so great. Thank you so much for being here today. And for those of you guys that are listening, if you got some value out of this today, if you felt like this is something that you enjoyed, or that maybe you have an audience of people that would enjoy this conversation, right now, stop what you're doing, take a quick screenshot of this episode wherever you're listening, share it on social media, tag me, tag Caterina. We will both see that, share it with our audiences, because we want to lift you up, right? And the only way we can do that is if we know you're listening, right? And that's how we know, and that's how we can, get your name in front of our audiences. And then we're all, it's kind of like that rising tide that lifts all boats, right? So I would love for you to do that. Of course, I'd love for you to subscribe to this show or on wherever it is you're listening to it, so you don't miss any other episodes. And, we've got lots of ways I've got lots of ways to support you as well with the kinds of things that we're talking about here. And there'll be links in the show notes. We've got a community of women where we can support, a free community. Happy to jump on a quick call with you, which you can grab again at the links below. We've got an assessment, linkedinquiz.com, get you to the assessment to get started. Whatever's going to work best for you. And I'm doing all the things they tell you not to do, right? One call to action right now. I want you to do what's going to float your boat, right? So whatever it is that we can support, that I can support you with, I'm happy to do that. And I'm just so grateful that you're listening. I'm so grateful that Caterina agreed to join us here today. And we'll see you back here next week.